We have team coverage tonight with an in-depth report with Fox 13 News executive reporter and aviation expert Sean Moody.
How could two professionally flown aircraft run right into each other in the middle of some of the nation's most tightly controlled airspace? I'm Sean Moody at Cornerstone Aviation, where I used to be a flight instructor, looking at how pilots are trained to operate around each other and what challenges they might face. Martin O'Loughlin's the president of the flight school Cornerstone Aviation. He and the rest of the aviation community are paying close attention to that mid-air collision in D.C.
Well, it's a very, very busy airspace, but it's also highly controlled.
A recording from liveatc.net shows the tower controller asked the Black Hawk pilot if they had the PSA Airlines CRJ 700 in sight.
Pass 25, get the CRJ in sight.
The controller tells the helicopter to proceed behind the jet.
Pass 25, pass behind the CRJ.
Typically, when a controller says pass behind, they only do that when you confirm that you have sight of the aircraft they want you to avoid.
They will usually give us a clock direction and an altitude. And
Joseph Galbraith is a Black Hawk instructor pilot for the Utah National Guard.
And if there's 3 or 4 aircraft and they're all between, the nose of the aircraft and a beam of the aircraft, it could be difficult to pinpoint which one they're talking about, and so you might get clarification.
When the controller says find that aircraft, there's no way of knowing whether when you say I have that aircraft in sight that you might not be talking about that aircraft over there, and keep that one in sight while you're getting perilously close to the one they really wanted you to avoid.
Especially in a city surrounded by bright lights.
Well, here's the scary thing. When you're going to hit something, there's no relative motion. And so as you get closer and closer and closer on the same bearing, that light hasn't moved relative to your aircraft. So it just looks like another light in the background from the buildings.
In Cornerstone's simulator, instructor Andy Michelson flew the same approach as that airliner, giving us a perspective on how things would have looked from the cockpit.
You're just looking for a little red and green light and some flashy white lights. That's kind of hard to pick out against a brightly lit city.
The investigation into just why the helicopter and airliner ended up on a collision course will take time. NTSB final reports often take a year or more.
As long as 2 airplanes are sharing the same airspace, the risk is always there that you can run into one another. An awful lot of our time goes into making sure that that doesn't happen.
Whatever the reason, O'Loughlin says, the aviation community will honor the dead by working to make sure it never happens again. In Salt Lake City, Sean Moody, Fox 13 News, Utah.